Imagine it's Christmas Eve, a house full of life and laughter, 10 children excited for the morning. Then, in the dead of night, a fire, a tragedy that erases a family home from existence. But what if the real horror wasn't the fire itself? What if 5 of those children never died in the flames at all? This is the haunting, true story of the Sodder children mystery, one of America's most profound and unsolved disappearances of children on Christmas Eve, 1945. In Fayetteville, West Virginia, the Sodder family went to sleep. George and Jenny Sodder, along with 9 of their 10 children, were home. Around 1 a.m., the phone rang. A woman asked for a name Jenny didn't recognize. She dismissed it as a wrong number and went back to bed, noticing that the downstairs lights were still on and the doors were unlocked, which was unusual. Just 30 minutes later, she woke up to the smell of smoke. The house was on fire. George, Jenny, and 4 of the children managed to escape the inferno. But 5 of their children, Maurice, Martha, Louis, Jenny, and Betty, were trapped on the top floor. Panic set in. George frantically tried to get to them. He ran for his large ladder, which he always kept propped against the house, but it was gone. It had mysteriously vanished. He tried to start his to-work trucks to pull them up to the window, but neither would start, despite working perfectly the day before. The phone line to call the fire department had been cut by the time help arrived. The house was nothing but a smoldering pile of ash. The official conclusion was swift and tragic. The 5 children had died in the fire. But this is where the story begins to unravel. The fire chief told the grieving parents that the blaze, while intense, shouldn't have been hot enough to cause a complete cremation of 5 bodies. There should have been bones, skeletons. Yet, a thorough search of the ashes turned up absolutely nothing. No teeth, no bone fragments. It was as if the children had simply vanished into thin air. The Sodders refused to believe their children were dead, and the more they looked back, the more sinister the story became. Weeks before the fire, a stranger had come looking for work and pointed out to George that his fuse boxes were a fire hazard. Another man, an insurance salesman, had become enraged when George declined a policy, warning him that his house would go up in smoke and his children would be destroyed. For his dirty remarks about Mussolini, for the police, it was a closed case. For George and Jenny Sodder, it was the beginning of a lifelong search for answers. A search that turned their tragedy into one of history's most compelling cases. Of an unsolved disappearance of children, they hired private investigators. They put up a large, heartbreaking billboard along Route 16 with the children's faces, offering a reward for any information. The billboard would remain there for over 40 years. They followed every lead, including a tip from a woman who claimed to have seen the children in a car that sped by as the house was burning. Then, in 1967, more than 20 years after the fire, they received a letter. Inside was a photograph of a young man in his late 20s who bore a striking resemblance to their son Louis. On the back was a cryptic, handwritten note. The Sodders were convinced it was him. But the trail went cold once again. What truly happened to the Sodder children? Was it a tragic, freak accident where all evidence of their remains was somehow obliterated? Or was it a meticulously planned kidnapping disguised by arson, carried out by someone with a grudge? The missing ladder, the disabled trucks, the cut phone line, they all point to something far more sinister than an accidental fire. George and Jenny Sodder passed away without ever knowing the truth. Their billboard a silent testament to a mystery that endures to this day. The Sodder children mystery remains a chilling reminder that sometimes the most terrifying questions are the ones that are never answered. What do you believe happened that night in Fayetteville? Was it a terrible accident or a conspiracy that succeeded? Share your theories in the comments below. And if you want to explore more mysteries that history has tried to forget, hit that like button and subscribe to Awakening Curiosity. There is always more to the story.